So this is our committee meeting, facilities committee for the month of November. We have distinguished guests here. Barbara, town provider, Bob Paper, highway supervisor. We're here to talk about the big discussion is going to be Mercy Care Lane. What do we do what are the steps that we need to take to convert that into its current dysfunctional status into something that is safer and
Sure.
maintainable?
Legal overview, but when it comes to the technical requirements, I'm going to defer to Bob. Bob is a stormwater guy, so you're going to hear a lot about this. The biggest problem with that road is it's a private road. Okay, so in order for it to be transferred to the town, offered to dedication, what's called to the town, it has to be running through highway standards. Standards. Bob knows those standards pretty well. In large part is people see the potholes and the other issues with the road surface. That is not always the quality of the pavement, it's actually what's happening underneath. It's the stormwater and it's not being properly collected and distributed to where it needs to go, which just settles down and undermines the road and basically becomes a problem. You may recall probably about 10 years ago, but even longer now, the owner of that road actually put a barrier up to stop cars from taking a left because they were concerned about liability. Somebody, making an axle, your tire, whatever it might be. So it took a couple of months, but we got them to basically remove it. I think it was Bob's predecessor, Greg Weir, go in and do some improvements on private property, which is something he doesn't like to do. Something the Bob's like to do. But something that we decided to do because it's the best interest, of the town. So they kept it open ever since. I think the road towards the YMCA, the town did take over because it was acceptable according to Greg Weir at the time. Town board accepted it, it's fine. But the rest of the road still has an issue with it. And Bob will explain a lot of the problem is that it's a private road, so there aren't any plans that were filed with the town. We don't know what's underneath the road. There was some talk about cammering the road at some point going in there. I'm not sure if that ever took place. I'll let Bob now take over and it gets technical very
well. Hello, folks. First of all, Peter's absolutely right. We don't know what's underneath this. We don't know sub bases underneath this road. I don't even know the diameter of the pipes. So I don't know what we have in the ground. And obviously, private roads are not up to the standard that a town road is in. One reason alone, cost alone. I mean, it's very expensive to put a town road in versus a private road. By the time you properly install the gravel sub base, the underlayments, the infrastructure in the ground, what it may be, I don't know where the water lines are here. I don't know where the gas lines are. I know nothing. I tried to find maps on this today. I could not find any maps. And I have a whole case in my office of maps. And I could not find anything on maps. We have nothing on the computer for this. I researched the conversations that Greg and Peter had today. It's back as far as 2018. So I know this issue's been going on for quite some time. Last I knew, the pipes were supposed to be cambered. Now, in a perfect world, if the pipes are in good shape and we do sport testing, sample testing of the sub base on the road, maybe that would be the least expensive way to get this road resurfaced, right? Get this road back in good condition. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is new drainage, new underlayment, rip up the road, and he's coming here with a grader, pull the road out, all that kind of stuff. There is no sense, and I know Peter would back in this. There's no sense of the town putting good money over bad. So
Right.
we have to do our due diligence and do some research on this road before you commit to anything.
And my guess, this road was built probably in the 70s, could be late 80s or early 80s. I'm not sure exactly when. If you look at the first part, I showed to Pete at my office the other day, we're looking at different properties, and you can actually see that the road, when it gets up to the entrance into Mercy Care, is owned by the Mercy Care Corporation, and the rest of it seems to be owned by First Columbia or something like that, like that. So you got multiple owners. At one point, again, Dan Hirschberg, who was he's an engineer, he's a stormwater engineer. He was very interested in offloading this road. That's when we got involved. In response to when we hadn't taken down the barrier, he said, well, how will you guys take over the road? Because they would like to have to do the maintenance, the snow plowing and all that good stuff. Question came up is, do you have any records? He said he did. I never saw them. I don't know if he ever found his way. So I don't know. So that may be the first place to check. Is this the guy again? It's Dan Hirschberg.
I don't remember what agency this was.
Dan Hirschberg is with Hirschberg and Hirschberg. Hirschberg, he's an engineer. He's a private engineer.
I will tell you as a courtesy, we have you coming in here, we always plow this. You come in here and plow this, it makes most sense for us, because we take over the back section of the road. We have come in here, and I've gotten several complaints about major potholes, and I've always explained to the people, it's not our road. But if I have some material, I'll get over there and do that, and I usually do it in the middle of the day. You know, last part of the day, just come in here and take care of the potholes, just to make it a little easier on you folks to travel on the road.
Clearly the safest way to take the left.
Yeah.
That's, and no doubt about it,
Well, I understand the purpose of this road, honestly.
I mean, just for clarity here, we're talking about with stretch of this road, Western Ave to, was it Winding Brook then?
Yeah,
So we got an L shape. Are we talking about the entire L or are we just talking about the?
Just the part closest to Western, you can actually see and.
Basically from St. Peter's Hospital, or St. Peter's out to Route 20.
Yeah.
From the addiction center out to.
And so,
and you can actually see the
and so
quality.
the town owns part of it,
Yes,
that's part of the L up to that.
Yeah.
You know everything that's under that?
Yes, we
The
do.
the back part.
We do.
and I'm not sure how Greg made the determination that that part of the road was better than the rest. I don't know.
Well, I will tell you what we did do over there is we milled that road. And milled it. It's a mill and fill. So what they did is they came in with a big milling machine, ground up the material and reprocessed it down. It did another overlay over top of it.
I guess my question is, how did they know what the quality of the stormwater was? Or did they not?
No, we went in there and looked at all the catch basins and pointed things up, and we didn't never chamber the pipes though.
I don't understand. I mean, why? It's the same approach on the front part of this that you use in the.
I think that in a roundabout way, that's what we're saying, but we don't know.
I don't, what they're asking is, would the same process be done that Greg did to the end of the road?
Yeah.
On the front of the road, I think the answer is, I believe, I'm not positive. You can check with water, I think water department had cameras.
Mhm.
And I think they borrowed a camera or had somebody come over and cameraed some of the main pipes.
And which way do the pipes run? They run down the middle of the road or? where would the pipes go?
I'm not sure about over here.
Where would the pipes be? I mean,
A typical road? A typical road, you mean?
on a typical, but you know, how about on the roads, the back part of this thing where you say,
They're in the wedge gutter.
I think that is on the right side or left side of the road. The side of the road, you can see where, you can see the grates, you can see them, they're out there. And the wind gutter is basically that curbing that keeps the water, you know,
It's called a wedge gutter. It contains water within the road. It's usually an 18 or 24-inch surface.
So private owner doesn't have any responsibility to maintain the road to a certain standard?
Nope. And that's it. Look, we have a number of roads all throughout the town that are private. You know, there's a couple of in Weatherfield that Greg took over at the request of the property owners. Again, as Bob indicated, you save a lot of money by not having to build it up to the right standards. So people are finding that they bought a brand new house, they got a nice new road, 10 years later, the road's falling apart. And so they call, and then I think on that one, there were records, Bob, Greg was able to make a determination that the roads could be brought up to town standards at minimal cost. I think they had to put it in the wedge.
Wedge gutters, yeah.
I'm just take this, you know, subsurface conditions, you know, in my previous
We have one unknown, I don't even know what we have underneath the road. Gravel, is it clay, is it
what's the worst case in this would be your ballpark in terms of,
price?
yeah.
I couldn't even begin to give you that. I'd have to measure that. You're putting me on the gun on that one. I couldn't answer that.
I think the problem is that if you have a collapsed pipe, is it collapsed to the extent that all need to be replaced, or do you need to replace it in sections?
In order to do the due diligence to do subsurface, you got to get somebody in here who does it, and they're going to need to do some type of destructive type testing in order to get at what's under that, because they can't see it unless they take part of it.
Well, I think you can get an idea of the camera. Camera, right, when you camera a pipe and the pipes are all together, then whatever's underneath the pipe is holding that up.
But
If your catch bases aren't tipped and so forth,
is it only the pipe that we're worried about here? What about the rest
no,
of
we're
the?
worried about the base of the
What about
road.
the rest, the rest of the, as you were saying, the private road that somebody gets built for their house, it's not built properly. I mean, I know when you build a road, you have to have certain strata. And
Yeah.
you build it up, and if you didn't build it up with that strata, you're gonna have.
And what Greg did for that back part, he did a core test, I think they called it. He actually did.
Court
Just
test.
goes down and he pulls it up and he sees what's there.
So we can figure that out relatively quickly, easily, cost effectively. Up here, we could do the same thing, say, okay,
You could probably get a good idea of the quality of the pavement and the subsurface and whatnot through a core test.
okay, so we do the core test and we sort of know we either have a major road rework or we basically have what you were saying, bring the milling machine in, mill the surface, and the only thing then we don't know about is the pipe. And the pipe, we need to get somebody in with a camera to.
But I want to be clear about the milling. The milling is only for the macadam, the blacktop,
Yeah.
right? I still don't know what's underneath the blacktop. Do we have a stabilization mat? Do we have, 18 inches of pressure run? That's why it's expensive.
You're gonna come in, you could come in and do the bore,
Yeah.
the sample, you could drill for the sample and tell that. But
In
you,
various spots.
yeah, but you have the capability of being able to do, the town's got the capability of being able to.
We have the capability of having somebody to do that. I don't have a coring machine.
But to do like a range of samples of the core. What would that involve? What's gonna cost?
Usually it's a machine that comes in, a couple guys with a press that comes in and cores the road. It's a perfect circle.
Right. And they can do that and then repair it so the word.
We do analysis.
So the road is, you can study the road, but then quickly repair it so the road is not an obstruction of the road.
Correct. Correct.
Right. But
Painless process.
And this is something that, as we're, as a library in the town, Brian, this is like a first step that the town.
Well,
library-
it's the first step, but it's also the last step you're actually gonna do to bring the road up to standard. Because you're not gonna put in a whole new surface and only to tear it up to get at the pipes. Still gotta figure out what's going on with the pipes.
Yeah, no, right. But the first, we have two issues. One, we can at least say, do we need to tear up the whole road or can we do the milling? And the other one is, do we need to do something with the pipe? And so you guys have got somebody who you can connect with who can do the
Coring,
camera, the coring and the camera.
the camera, yeah.
The cost of that is something the town would bear, or would you turn around and say the library?
No. Maybe you guys doing it.
It's not a dedicated road, so. it's
You
not-
can't spend it, you can't spend it.
So we have to pay, okay. Yeah, so,
And
so.
this might be a silly question, but since we don't own the road, and the town doesn't own the road, are we allowed to start testing things?
It's not a
and-
silly question.
Okay, yeah.
It's a good question.
That's where the water comes
No,
from.
no. Came in the context of, dealing with Dan Hirschberg. And Dan Hirschberg, I said, look, we have to do some inspections and whatnot. And I think Greg knew from prior experience that the end of the road was in much better shape than the front of the road. He focused on that. I don't know how much money he spent on that. I don't know how many cores he pulled.
No, I don't remember either, but I do know that all the drainage in the back was pretty decent shape.
I think he may have had one department do that.
Yeah.
I think.
So who would we have to get permission from? You said there's multiple owners.
Yes, I know, again, the Mercy Care Corporation owns the the front, and I think it's First Columbia that owns the back. But I would still try to contact Dan Hirschberg because he represents both entities when he was saying he would like it if the town would take it over. So I think if you could make contact with him, and I can probably even forward you some of the emails that I've got that I had with him probably 7 or 8 years ago, in which he basically said, you know, we're interested. And they may also have some information about the chlorine and how that was all done. I'm not sure, did you? You know, Bob, did we use water department for the camera?
I'm sure, because they have it.
Yeah.
They have a camera system, pretty state of the art camera system. So
So there's two, I guess, two things that we can pursue from today, right? One of them is this investigation into ownership, right? We can follow up with Dan of Hirschberg and see what records he has. Right, and you can forward us whatever communication you have with him in the past. We can see what we can do to establish contact with him, because he represents First Columbia and Mercy Care
That's what he represented.
previously.
Yeah. And look, it could be that Mercy Care transferred responsibility to First Columbia, because First Columbia was the developer.
Sure.
Yeah, so they may be the landlord tenant. I just don't know. But the bottom line is he would know, and he would be very happy to get the ball rolling on taking over.
So, okay, so one avenue we have to work on is ownership, right? The can we do the things that we want to do, right? So that's good. And Hirschberg's a place to start. And depending on what he has to say, we might have to reach out to, this is Spark up here,
Yes.
Spark and Mercy Care.
You
to see
can
who
get
they
that
are.
information. I showed Pete on the map. Town has a map, a GIS map. You can get information
Okay, right. So,
and who does the tax bill go to?
okay, so we can independently of Dan Hirschberg, we can be looking at the tax records for Spark and Mercy Care to try and establish connection with their owning entities. Okay, so that's the ownership side of the house. On the actual physical condition of the road side of the house, we have cameraing the pipes, and we have core testing. Core testing, I think from what I'm hearing, we can't core test until we answer the ownership question. That
You probably want to get the permission of the owner, yes.
can we camera before we get the permission of the owner, or does that?
If you're still on their property, but I don't think you're really damaging it. That's something that I think the town probably could do it. I'm not so sure, right?
Okay.
If you guys could do it.
Okay, so hearing ownership needs to come first. We got to get in touch with whoever's got it, owns the road now to keep this moving. In the pipe condition space, the two tests we have to determine the state of the road are cameraing the drain, cameraing the pipes, and core testing. Cameraing the pipes being less destructive, and the town has the capability to camera the pipes.
That I'd have to check with the water department. Again, I think it would depend upon the extent of the pipes.
They do,
They could do, you think?
they can do it.
Yeah, we can do it in-house.
They can
Yeah,
do
we
it.
could do that.
Okay, so that would not be a cost that the library would have.
That's something we would take on for you.
Okay, okay, so it seems that we establish ownership, so let's assume we establish ownership, right? We got that squared away. Then the next step is for you guys to come on down and see what's going on in the pipes. And that's gonna tell us either if they're collapsed and in terrible shape, probably not a good sign, and we should, have another meeting of the minds here to figure out how we move forward from there. But the next set of testings then is the core test to see what the condition of the actual, like, what's the road made up of, right? So.
You're right, that would probably be one of the last steps. I think the camera of the pipes and figuring out all the infrastructure that's in the ground currently now is suitable for futuristic road conditions.
Okay, that we can at least start determining the condition of the infrastructure in the road presently with the camera.
As far as pipes and catch basins, yes.
Okay, what else is needed to determine the condition of what's in the road besides cameras and core tests?
Well, if we have to remove any pipes that are damaged, I don't know what's in the ground as far as water lines, gas lines, electrical. I don't know where any of this stuff is. So that's all obstacles that we would always have to regard.
How do you find out about, well, you've got the guys from the gas company, you call that number.
Steve wouldn't want to,
That's.
they come out and mark everything.
So we would need to separately,
See, it's always a problem with it when you're the last one in the ground.
so we would need to, the 811 would have the records of gas lines, and would they have water lines as well?
Yep, they come out and mark everything, gas lines, Verizon lines,
Okay,
electrical.
so we could rely on 811 for telling us the condition of everything, all the other infrastructure in the road that is not pipes.
Correct. Not condition, just tell you the whereabouts.
The existence, right? The where it is, right? Okay.
Every survey, right, was there a catch basin or something that was in the middle of the road that was covered up or
Yes.
something was covered up here?
Brett had to address that, I think.
When we did the back part, when it comes to 811 stuff, did that present any type of a problem or hindrance, or was it just?
No, there's nothing back there,
Nothing back.
nothing back there.
I think all your leads are gonna be coming up money.
This is where all your infrastructure is, all your buildings, all your,
Because communication sidewalk with there, would your expectation be?
But it's gonna, all those lines gonna be going to all the buildings that are being built. Yeah, so they're gonna come up from 20 where the main line is.
Is core testing, if the pipes are in good condition, is core testing valuable?
yes.
Okay. If the pipes are in bad condition, is core testing valuable? No, okay. If the pipes are in bad condition, it's a new road.
Because we're gonna be tearing everything out.
But it could be good here and it's bad there. So I mean, who knows? I'm not sure the entire road gets condemned or if it's just parts of the road. Yeah, so it really depends. Like the cameras.
It doesn't just start at the road though. So like when you have all this drainage, there's an outfall someplace. So that's where you have to go. You gotta go from where the water's going out. Make sure that all that water that we're dispersing on this road is always gonna have a nice exit out of the pipe. If it doesn't, that pipe has to be repaired. That's off-road sites, you know what I'm saying? That's how expensive this stuff gets.
Hey, can I ask you a quick question? I know it's all private, it's a private stormwater project, all that stuff, but at some point does the get reviewed anyway by the town just to make sure that it's responsibly done, that the stormwater actually discharges to the right? In other words, stormwater doesn't go with the sewer. The sewer goes to a sewer plant. Stormwater finds its way to the closest stream, creek, or whatever. Is that reviewed in any way by you guys or?
It is now, wasn't, I don't know how it was back then.
Stormwater has become much more important over the past 20 years. Even much more so over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
We didn't have a stormwater officer probably when this was built. Now we have full-time stormwater officer. Nothing but stormwater.
So we'd have to find the outlet of the pipe and all that would have to be cambered.
How do we find the outlet?
On the lowest point.
I'm just imagine somebody in waiters like poking around. Till you
No, I mean, we gotta be able to pull these covers off these bases and just keep track of it. It's not the most orthodox way to do things, but I mean, usually have a map on things, but I can't even find a map on any of this drainage here.
You can literally pull the covers off and you can see the pipes. You can see pipes going this way, or maybe it's a pipe going that way, and you just have to follow each pipe to make sure that it's good. And at some point, you're gonna find a pipe that's gonna be the outflow,
Right.
probably multiple ones, but.
Yeah.
Also, I want to get back to the core testing. You probably should talk to Bob about where you want to do the core testing. I think it's gotta be in high quality locations.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I can summarize, I think the like our short-term plan here, or like the way forward. So we work on establishing ownership. Once we have made contact with the owners of the road, we look for permission to do work on the road. We look for any records that they have on the road, right? Once we've received permission and maybe concurrently with records, we can start looking at cammering the pipes to see what the state of the pipes are. If the pipes are in terrible condition, then we're going to have to come back and chat about what's next and what we approximate. Would we be able to approximate a cost after we camber the pipes?
Yeah, it take a little bit of time to do that, but yeah.
Okay. So if the pipes are in terrible condition, we gotta regroup. If the pipes are in good condition, then we can 811 and we can core test, and that'll give us a better picture of what the rest of the state of the road is. Give us a more that'll be less of a cost, but the cost we would incur to repair the road to town standard, if the pipes are in good condition after 811 and a core test, we would have to pay that anyway if pipes were in bad condition. It's not a great question, right? But like if we're repairing the road, the cost incurred to repair the road is at least the cost incurred to build the new road is at least as much as the cost incurred to repair the road. Right?
Oh, it'd be more money to put in the road.
Yeah, like because we have to do all of that underlayment. Yeah.
It's underlying, yeah, like I said, to build a town road, it's very expensive. I mean, you know what, that is, builders try to get out of whatever they can, you know, under the road sometimes.
Sure.
If they have an opportunity to put in 1,300 along a road, an existing road, they'll do that instead of put a road.
Can you tell us how long is this road?
Not very.
Not even, I don't know, maybe 1,000 feet. Right?
I really don't know.
Yeah,
Like the football field.
if that, I mean, the entire road, quarter mile,
So it is, do you know, with no bearing on what we are talking about now, what it costs for a new road, like 500 foot a new road? What does that cost?
you don't have a catalog answer, or like, oh, which road you want?
Yeah, just looking for like, special conditions, just a standard.
Yeah, so you're talking just drainage on the road, right?
Sure. Yeah,
Then you're talking 1,000 feet.
sure. We're not gonna hold you to any.
Not gonna hold
nothing there. We're just trying to figure
Oh,
out.
I'm gonna say probably up of 100,000, if not more.
Okay.
I will say, in looking at the library's records, we've been talking about this for at least 10 years, probably longer. The last projected cost for replacing the entire road was $250,000 in 2015 dollars. So inflation.
The whole road.
That was pre-COVID.
Meaning what? All the way from here to Winding Brook?
No, I think to where the town owns it. I think just this from here to there, but I don't know that.
That's obviously replacing everything, and that was 2001.
15,
Yeah, so that's pre-COVID.
yeah.
Everything's gone.
Yeah.
One stick of pipe now costs me $150. Right, just one stick. That's our cost.
So I've been operating under the assumption it would cost more than that, but that might have been the cost for the entire road back then. I'm not positive, and it's all kind of moved because things have changed so much.
I know even back then, I said to Dan Hirschberg, look, if you do what's necessary to bring the road up to town standards, sure, we'll take it over. And he said, I think he said like $300,000. Guesstimated.
Well, they're probably engineering it.
But, no, assuming, if the camera showed it was clear, the structure was good, and then you did order, and that showed that it was no different from what you did in the back of the cord. And 811 basically says all this stuff is so far underneath the ground that the only machine is disturb it. In effect, the cheap solution on this would be get a milling machine in, scrape the blacktop off and re-blacktop it.
Yeah, what you do is put a Band-Aid over the top of the road, basically, but yeah. You know, you're just reshaping the road, you're getting a profile of the road.
Yeah. But, you know, the alternative is it's not like it's either that or it's, you know, build a town road to full town road specs. It's either the super expensive model or the Band-Aid model. Is there an in-between model that I'm sort of missing?
Yeah, what Peter's saying, if we replace, just has to be replaced. And they go about the road there. I'll tell you right now, the road is no good if you don't have proper drainage.
If
I
what?
don't care what you do to this road, if you don't have proper drainage, the road is gonna go bad.
You might do a camera work and find that the first 200 feet is fine and the rest has got a problem. So the first 100 feet is okay, you know, so you might, just gotta see what the camera says.
I know. I said, but what if the camera basically says it's all okay?
Then I think it's, then in the quartering, it said it's the road's in good shape.
Yeah.
First, I highly doubt that given the condition of the road, but let's assume that all those things, then we wouldn't even be here, right? Your road be in good shape. Dan Hirschberg would say, sure, we'll just put a top coat on it and you take the road, but we know there's more problems. That Dan Hirschberg is he spent 60 years as a stormwater engineer, and he says this road has got serious stormwater issues. And hopefully he has records. He will be able to tell you what size of the pipes are, the age of the pipe.
If you folks get those records, if you could forward them to me too, that would be very helpful.
Who's gonna reach out to Dan or?
I've got his contact information pulled up. I'm looking through my predecessor's email to look for previous contacts. I'm happy to do it.
Can you copy me?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
In terms of doing the camera and the coring, does it matter what time of year?
Never know.
Or probably after one.
Well, when, yeah, when we're able to.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I would guess it's probably about this time of year that it probably start. It's the more quiet time.
One of the things we heard in the focus groups for the long term, the desire for the left turn lane. Part of this as you come out onto Western Ave. Any idea with the existing road would we formally fit a
You need to turn it up here, you mean?
To turn on to Western.
turn onto Western as you're coming out of the library?
So we all know it's a rather difficult left turn to make, and I think it's a non-starter to get a traffic light there since there's a traffic light so
Yes,
close.
that's never gonna happen. Guarantee you.
So
What we,
Yeah, I thought that's why they did the reroute.
right, but what ends up happening is everyone who wants to make a right gets stuck behind the one person who wants to make a left. So adding a left-hand turn lane would at least let the people who want to go right.
Yeah, the problem with that is that the people turning that right now are gonna block the view of the person taking the left.
Sure.
So a lot of times you don't really want to widen it because it just creates a hazard situation where people can't see, they think they can see, and so they go out and they get clipped. Or then. So again, road design, Bob is much better at this, but it's not so we just dedicate a left-hand turn at a Route 20. I don't think that really exists anywhere.
it's state like it. Anyways.
Yeah, you'd have to widen the curb cut, or the entrance onto the
you have to widen the,
entrance.
yeah, no, that's,
Because you're crossing DOTs right away.
was that,
You usually, if you're gonna widen the road and need more space.
Yeah.
That front 10 or 15 feet is DOT. You have to get their permission. And they're gonna say no, because again, you guess you have dedicated left-hand turn lanes when it's a light. But no light. I can't think of any, although we do this, I can't think of any town road that has a dedicated left turn lane at a unlit, whatever the word is, intersection.
I think you're right. No.
There's,
no, that's just, yeah, just good information. I don't know that, so.
no, I mean,
It was one of the things that came up in the long-term planning.
folks are requiring, all of people want to take a right. It's making it more dangerous, people taking a left.
I mean, we could say you can't make a left out of there, go that direction, but then you have to, everyone who wants to take the left has to take this road.
Has to
That's
go around.
math.
Yeah, but you're also saying, if you're saying that by putting a sign up, then what about the owner of the road?
And that too. Right.
Want to go that way, you're supposed to go around the back. But
Yeah, we
Yeah,
we
you're right.
encourage people, we say Western that way, you know.
It's the safest way.
And I think most people do it.
Mhm.
When I leave here tonight, I'll do it, even though there's no rush hour. I'm still gonna go all the way around.
I'll do it now because I feel good.
Well, and so I don't want to get too far away from the immediate matter of Mercy Care Lane. But as we're directing people left, another thing that's come up in the long range planning is people make that left and then it's unlit down. There's no street lights, there's no ambient light. And then they go to make that left onto Winding Brook, and depending on the time of year, the overgrowth could be such that it's still hard to make that left. You're kind of having to look for someone going that way, you're watching people from the YMCA. Is there a future where there's more streetlights and more sidewalks heading between us and the YMCA?
Yes, I think there's a good chance if the Beacon Communities or its successor develops land down there, certainly will be sidewalks. Whether or not they could put the bill to put a sidewalk up all the way up to the library, I don't know. Depends upon what happens. In terms of lighting, street lighting, maybe, I don't know. It really would just depend upon, we're really trying to get away from big street lamps that are 20 feet tall in lighting. We're trying to get them down to pedestrian side. So you might get them in connection with a sidewalk, which provides enough ambient light, and maybe some, to better light the road itself.
For personal,
So that, my guess would be good chance that there certainly be a sidewalk. I know that. For the lighting, hopefully there'll be something. The question always is, where do you hook it up to? Right, where's the closest? Not only is he a good stormwater guy, this guy's an electrician too.
And now we gotta run them from Western all the way down to the other end. Yeah, that goes.
Just the first steps on this is you need to talk to this guy Hertford and get permission from him to run a camera crew, and you have the camera crew.
I don't, the water department does, but I work all the time in conjunction with the water department on these things.
Should we just connect directly with the water, or should we direct?
Get all of me, and I'll take over from
The
there.
water guys won't know.
So,
what
the
to do.
first thing it says, I represent the people who are the ownership interest of this. You can have a next phone call to Bob and basically say, get approval for the study infrastructure.
And you could let them know that the town's involved and that Bob Haver, highway superintendent, is going to be arranging for the camera testing and all that. So
Personally would want to be involved in it, especially if I'm looking to, help you or take
Yeah.
it over. I'd like to know what I'm looking at on all aspects of this road.
Dan Hirschberg, by the way, is probably 92, maybe 93 years old, but he's still showing up at the
Going fast.
So he's but he'll, I'm sure he'll remember this and he'll be very excited.
Can't stress this enough. You
You guys
guys,
spec out your morning, sounds
the
like.
plans to this road, you have the infrastructure, please send them over to me.
Absolutely. And so we do all this work. The goal is to get it to the town standard so it can be dedicated. I'm not saying offer the dedication to the town would take it over once it's up to that standard. So town does the striping, town does the paving, town does the plowing, you're already doing the plowing.
I'm not sure if you do any striping, would you?
No.
So the reason why I bring up striping is because we have a second parking lot on the other side of Mercy Care.
Yeah.
And there's a crosswalk there that has completely,
Also, at the beginning of the loop.
okay. So that's, we might not need a middle stripe, but we do need the crosswalk.
Striping just like everything else. Going up.
No,
Oh, of course it is.
No, ridiculous.
See, you can't just buy the paint at Home Depot.
it's unbelievable.
And again, I don't want to hold either of you to anything, but what's a timeline like this look like if everything goes right? Months, years, days? Like,
Oh, if you're ringing the bell and the camera comes back great and the condition of the road is okay and it just needs to be pushed up a bit, it's probably within next year. I know this guy is very busy right now
right, we gotta get on schedule.
and he will be busy as soon as the snow starts falling.
Yeah.
Because every single guy there is involved with snow removal, ice removal and everything else.
Yeah, that's the best case scenario, Peter just stated. Yeah, a year and a half, maybe two. Worst case scenario is probably gonna be much more.
And it's probably more likely to happen, I would think, in the fall than any other time. A lot of paving takes place.
In terms of, once again, the ownership of this road, do we have to get it transferred over to the town?
That was part of the dedication. And it's all set forth in our town code, looking at the highway code and talking about dedication of roads.
Is there a payment that, are they willing to, do we know off the top of our head if somebody's asking for a payment?
Nothing that's come up in the right.
Else, they would love it if we just took it over because it's almost like avoided,
Yeah, what it costs.
avoided costs.
Is there a title transfer when you say the dedication of it?
Yeah, again, it's in the code and it talks about dedication of the road and it is accompanied by a letter from Bob saying the road's in good enough shape, it meets highway specs, or it is in such a condition that Bob can raise it up to highway specs after the town takes it over. And there also has to be then title insurance in Fairfield Town. And I'm sure there's other things that have to be mapped out. It's gotta be something that we can file with the Albany County Clerk, but it's also something that means something to him, right? Everything being, he wants to be able to look at that, and the next guy 30 years down the road will know what was done and where all the.
That's the goal. You always try to make it easier for the next guy, right? As if, I mean, look what your folks are going through right now. You're not quite sure, but well, we aren't either.
Yeah, I would love it if somebody made my job easier 20 years ago.
Things just aren't reported properly all the time.
So it's a great facility, but nobody's happy with any way you approach it.
We're dissatisfied.
Forget.
So I will also reach out to the library's lawyer, just kind of talk this through or we're not like a black swan, right? This has happened before in the town of Gilderland,
Oh,
right?
yeah, we,
Okay, this is a common,
I could probably dig up the paperwork that was done for the roads up in Weatherfield. That was for the town board within the past 10 years and kind of show you what's
what it is like.
Yeah, but it's
Deputy Court West.
different court, right?
Right. Yeah, I guess it doesn't seem likely, but my nightmare is that we do all this work and then the developer says, thanks, I'm keeping the road, you know?
Yeah.
Well, no, I think, yeah, as you probably know, before anything work is done on the road, it's gonna be an agreement, for which you'll transfer the road.
I'm not worried about that. I got the pit bull. Take care of that. Know that if I'm doing any work on that road, I'm leaving.
Do we have any other questions?
No, I think we've got good next steps.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thank you
taking
for
the
coming.
time.
Thank
You guys got a meeting coming up?
Yeah, nice this yard.
Oh.
Government in action.
All right, see you guys later.
Great, thank you
Thanks
so
so
much.
You around for Thanksgiving? You traveling?
No, oh, family.
Iowa.
Oh, hey, happy Thanksgiving, folks.
Yeah,
I've done that before. So
You have any Scott, big update on that?
Yeah, it was actually really disappointing. We managed to fix the leak for 2 rainstorms and we were all set to close the hole we made in the ceiling and the last rainstorm started leaking. Yeah. So I think we are at the point, Titan is still committed to diagnosing and fixing it. We might be, don't want to jinx this, but if they can't take care of it, we might be looking at another vendor like the one that Bill sent me. One of the suggestions that Jason had is that because currently the louvers are removed, so it's letting in more light than it used to. We took off both of the louvers to try to find the leak. We may put rubber covering over it for the winter and just try to stop the rain.
Yeah, no, I think that's.
While we reassess.
So all, just the loopers over that one section of one?
Yes, yeah, they've been removed.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if it's still leaking. They don't come up with a presto solution, or to cover it, so it's, and then we just have to get do you know when they're gonna throw in the towel?
But they have not said, they haven't said to us anything indicating they're ready to give up, but it might be a situation where we just put a rubber covering on it while we reassess, while we think it through. They've been dedicated and diligent. They keep trying, and whatever they did the first time did something, but it didn't finish the job.
Right.
So yeah, that was the only update on the skylight. I have not made progress on the space over the fish tank, but the next step is to reach out to the company that does our vinyl wrap and see we're gonna do a vinyl wrap with a photo, so we need to know the specs of what quality the photo has to be. So I'm gonna start moving on that, and we're doing really well on inside the building art. Michael had to step away because the foundation's meeting as we speak. But Michael's done a good job with getting art. We actually created a sub page on our website that has artist information, says the art that's hanging in the library. Several of the artists submitted artist statements, so it's a good way to promote what we're doing.
So is that part of sprinkle around?
Yeah, it's still, there's a pretty much one on every single wall at this point, but yeah, all around the perimeter of the main reading room, there's art up now.
The chair voting end up.
The chair voting was overwhelmingly in favor of one particular table. It's
The
the,
expensive one.
I don't think it was that much more expensive, but it was the rectangular one that goes up and down, so adjustable and rectangular. That was the overwhelming winner. It was such a runaway vote that I took the sign down.
Hey, well, thanks. This was a good meeting, Dr.
Yeah.
The collective trying to figure this one out, you know, a lot of chicken and eggs. So that's the deal with it. So, just think, you know, between the road and the skylight, we got two.
And something to keep in mind, so we're heading into budget season.
Yeah.
Yep. And last year, we reduced our capital improvement budget line to accommodate increases to other areas of the budget. We're gonna want to look at restoring or possibly increasing that line in future budget years.
Is there grants we can get?
Yes, yeah, so with grants, we can certainly apply for any of the New York State development grants. It's not a guarantee that we'll get them. Something that hurts us is that we're relatively well-funded compared to many other libraries. But we qualify in most cases for 50 to 75% reimbursement. So as long as we can put up the remainder, we will qualify.
So that's all in front of us in terms of what the bills are gonna be.
And what would we need, like, board voting on for this kind of thing?
Good question.
We'll have authorized spending for it, but
But we don't need, you know, like, once we can obviously go ahead and do like the first steps, like the water, the camera thing, or, okay.
Yeah, and these are, I think they'd fall into the category of sole source because we wouldn't be shopping around for a better. So the first step would be getting quotes for the cost and then getting the board to approve the expenditures.
Okay. So it's more tied to the money side of things. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, in theory, that would be the point where if, you know, the board for whatever reason didn't want to pursue restoring the road or transferring ownership, the mechanism by which to do that would be denying the funding. But I can't imagine that happening.
No.
But we don't have, no, we just have information for this month's board. Refer again. To get the water department to do the camera testing. As soon as we get. Then we'll know more about what the.
Be in like in addition to like past research here, just talking about the next step, right? So in addition to reaching out to Dan, are we also going to reach out to the current like owners as identified on the tax?
Unless if Dan represents them and he might be willing to do it, that's the impression I was getting, is that he was willing to be the intermediary. If not, then yeah, I think we would be reaching out to them. I'll also make contact with St. Peter's and talk to them because you know, this impacts them
Yeah.
and it's a net positive, but if for some reason they're, you know, have concerns, I'd rather hear it before we start working.
You have contacted Mercy Care as well.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. Let's walk out the action items.
Hey, you know what? That's what you pay me for.
Yes, all the right questions.
No, that was really informative and, yeah, it's good stuff.
Got a good place to start.
So, with that, meeting adjourned at,
6:52.
6:52.